Oh, hey.
Hello, this is organically better.
I brought things to talk about. I brought this stack of things to talk about. I'm excited.
You have like a rainbowy swatch in there. I just
I
saw.
do.
I just saw.
I do.
I'm excited to talk about. So we are here to talk about spring and what we're working on, which is sort of. I was thinking about this when we started the podcast. We were like, we are not. Here's what's on our needles podcast. However, today we are. Today a little bit we are.
Yeah. It's almost like a what's on my spreadsheets type of podcast.
Yeah, that's true. There's actually nothing work related on my needles right now, but many spreadsheets that are being worked on. So, what's in your
Sounds good.
spreadsheets?
Spring. So I am about to get my lace long sleeve tee called Among Petals. Thank you for helping me name her. Off to TE. I have 3 more days, and through the
Mhm.
hard parts of my double checks. And I don't have anything else in my spreadsheets until I get these guys sorted out, which I want to do live with you today.
Amazing. Um,
How about you?
well, my first spring design is in edit right now. So far, so good. We'll see what comes back. So far so good, meaning I sent it. And I was just finishing a swatch for my second spring, which is all sorted. It's been sketched and sorted to high heaven, but I do have to still actually grade it. There's nothing in the sheets. The sheets are bare.
The sheets are bare. Yeah, nothing in the sheets. So, we put together this spring collection and we want to make sure that there's something for everyone.
Hmm.
Among Petals is it's an advanced knit. It has multiple lace charts worked at the same time. I expect it to be a really easy knitting experience, but I do think that it's going to look intimidating, just because you know it's got a lot going on, right? So it's all row by row. It's all you just do this, you do that. But I also want something really approachable. I know that there are a lot of knitters in our audience who are uh, a little bit newer to garment knitting and want to participate in some of the things that we're always talking about, but maybe need a pattern where they're not learning maybe fit and knit at the same time. So that's my goal with my tank that I'm putting together.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. It's an interesting place to be because I think I've talked about this before, but Jen and I both consider ourselves like fairly advanced garment pattern makers, designers, right? So, like, the patterns that we put out are not necessarily your very first garment. Although, the longer that we design, the more that people are just jumping in as their very first garment. But that's like jumping into at least an intermediate class, really, because of the level of detail and the level of fit. So it is something that's always on our minds and something that's really fun to think about, you know, how do we make a garment for all of you that still has all of that fit, but also is a lot more approachable as your first garment, or even, as an advanced garment maker. That doesn't mean that I always want a garment that's going to be really hard to make,
Yeah.
or a pattern that's harder to follow. And of course, we try and make all of our patterns clear to follow, but some constructions are easier to do that with than others. And I do think tanks are a great place for any garment knitter to start anyway, because there's no sleeves. There's a lot of decreasing. When you get to the top, you're just knitting straps most of the time. So I think the kind of burnout feeling that maybe a first time garment knitter might find when they finish the body of a sweater and realize the sleeves take like almost as long, you get a faster satisfaction with a
Right.
tank. Hmm.
Well, that's my first question, right? Like, so I'm inclined. I always feel like tanks are easiest bottom up, right? You start with a lot of knitting and then you decrease out. But I know that a lot of newer knitters can be intimidated by bottom up designs.
That's true, but I don't know. I feel pretty passionately that tanks really make sense to do bottom up because I find that the strap length is one of the most variable parts, and people like to customize that strap length person to person. It's super easy to do that, but you're only going to know where you want that strap length customized to if you knit it last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so my goal with something like this would be to have all of the underarm shaping done for every size before the next starts so that we can say something like, hey, this is where you'll add or decrease length.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or sometimes I guess my goal is to do all of that at once. So then you're just knitting the strap like longer or shorter, depending on where you need it. But
Yeah.
that
It
is,
depends on the silhouette of the neckline.
right. But that also makes it a little bit trickier if you wanted to modify your bust placement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, um, I really want this to be a wearable design. I feel like that's one of the things I admire most about your garments is they're things that you wear all the time. Um, and so that means I want it to be lightweight, particularly for a March or April release. So I'm planning to work either with cotton or that rainbow piece that you saw. You've seen that yarn before, everyone. That's that silk barrette, that raw silk that I bought last year.
Oh,
Hmm.
show
Oh,
it, hold it up to the camera. That's so pretty. That's a raw silk. Is it a
hmm.
silk noil? Noil? Is it the same thing?
Bourette, Bourettete.
Oh, I don't know that word. I always see noil, noir. It depends on how American you are. Noil.
Noel. Let's just all say words that we've only ever read, and we'll feel like we're in the third grade reading placement as first graders again.
Listen, you start a knitting podcast and let me know how it goes.
All pronunciations are guesses. Please feel free to correct our ignorant asses. Anyway, it feels the exact same as cotton.
Hmm.
It's got a little more weight to it. It's a little heavier. Um,
Is it like you saw the silk I was working with for my tea? Does it feel similar to that?
mhm.
Okay, that's what I would guess.
This is supposed to be a fingering, and I think yours is too, but yours feels more like a lace.
No, mine's a sport, but it does feel like fingering. But I knit it
And
at a
this is a fingering,
sport
but it feels like
gauge.
sport. Yeah.
Okay.
We should compare yardage later. Anyway, so
Hmm.
I have that swatch. It's very drapey.
I like it though.
It's not sheer. None of these are sheer. And then
No,
I've
I don't
got
like to do sheer. Well, that's not true. I do sheer, but
a
it's
boucle
either super
cotton.
sheer or it's not, you know? This is
This is
the
the cotton
cotton.
boucle. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's the cotton blue boucle. I expected it to knit up with more texture than that. I see there is
Yeah.
some. Is that blocked?
Mm-hmm. And I
Okay.
also did a texture swatch.
Nice.
And then where is she? I have one last guy right down here. She fell down.
Yes, more. More
More.
swatches.
This is a standard fingering weight organic cotton.
Okay.
Love
She
these
doesn't want to
babies.
focus. There she is. Lovely. That's so
Mm-hmm.
pretty. Is that the cherry blossoms? Is that the same
It is
colorway?
cherry blossoms.
So is that the same colorway that you knit the tea in?
No, I bought them at the same time and they're very similar, but one's from Terrapin and one's from LaRue.
Okay. I was guessing that they were the same. And so I'm like, that's not the same.
No, the other one's a little warmer. This one has more flecks of cobalt in it, and I'm in love with cobalt as an
Mm,
accent color. So, yeah.
me too. I'm trying to design my felt panel wall as we speak and choose the colors. And I think there's going to be some cobalt
I
things
love
that are
cobalt.
only exciting to me, everybody.
Hey, all design is design. So, I got to pick one of these.
um I wanted to like the cotton boucle the most, but I don't.
I don't either.
I wish it
It
had
feels more like I want to make a lightweight hoodie out of that.
yeah, but I just want it to be, I don't know. I just want it to either have a lot more texture or none at all because it looks too much like sloppy knitting to me, you know? Instead of, and I just worked on a tee that had a thick and thin um, raw silk. That's the sport weight we were just talking about.
Hmm.
It did block out though to be because when I was knitting it, I felt like it looked like sloppy knitting the whole time, you know? And so then every time someone would comment and I would be like, it's not going to look like that. And they'd be like, this is gorgeous. I'd be like, it's not going to look like that.
Yeah. The
Because
silk
when
is the
it
only one here that's
blooms.
not blocked. And it's worth saying that the silk is knit on fives
Mm-hmm.
and the organic cotton is knit on threes.
That's not so bad, but I do really like the silk.
I like the silk.
Oof.
It's a pretty affordable silk for silk.
Okay. Um, I mean, the thing is when you're comparing like silk and organic cotton or like
They're the same one.
baby
All
lamb
these yarns are the
hand
same
dyed
price.
with
Yeah.
unicorn tears or whatever, like it gets expensive either way. So, and there are inexpensive subs for silk. I think sometimes designers worry about making silk garments thinking that like you can't swap anything for it. But there's actually a lot of affordable blends that mimic silk, even at like a Joann's or a Michael's at a big box store.
Yeah. I think, okay, so I've been thinking about subs because I want the silk, but again, because it's a quote unquote fingering knit on fives, I think that if somebody were to knit this on um, a different fingering yarn, it would be more sheer and drapey. I'm okay with that for a
Yeah,
tank. If they were to knit it on a standard like sport wool, it would be pretty comparable, I think, because this is also sport wool
it
and
just won't
it feels
hang
the
the
same.
same though.
No, it wouldn't hang the same. And I'm going to
So you
design
have
it
to
for
consider,
plant
yeah, you have to
fibers.
consider in your finishing.
Yeah. But just in terms of subs, like what I think people will actually do with the pattern when they have it in their craft rooms. Um,
Hmm.
I don't think it would be too difficult to do subs. And I think that knit on fives, it would give people a little room to play if they wanted to do a help together, or get something
Yeah, or
fuzzy in
just a
there.
sport.
Hmm. Well, sport plant weight yarn, that's the thing is like sport plant weight yarns are a little tougher to find.
I mean, a sport wool. If I was going to
Yeah.
sub a wool, I'd
Yeah.
probably sub a sport weight wool for that instead of a
Yeah.
fingering.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'll apologize to everyone. I'm going to be like in and out of blurriness today because it's very cloudy. So,
Yeah.
oh well. But
Well, I think I'm going to go with this and I'm just going to do like a really clean, like 2x2 ribbing at the bottom. It's just going to be very approachable because that's what I want to knit and that's what I want to wear. It's nothing too challenging. It's just all the basics. It's just a chance to really experiment with getting your fit, getting your bust darts where you want them,
hmm.
seeing how all the pieces come together. But then at the end, oh, and I wanted to show you, I think I've talked to you about this before. This is the garment that I've referenced a lot for
Hmm.
like the silhouette, right? I would make the neckline a little more narrow because we're going to be doing like a plant based fiber.
Hmm.
And I'm not crazy about where the bust darts land in this garment. So, of course, I would change those. But just in terms of like a really basic, kind of wide strap tee or tank, rather. Um,
Yeah, wardrobe staple.
yeah, just a wardrobe staple.
I love that for a tank. And I will say, in terms of silk, so like my Tori tank that was part of her body of work collection was 100% silk, and super wearable. People were really excited to add that to their wardrobe, and all kinds of people. I was worried about the appeal, but the intention in that design was really to create something that was usable, wearable, right, as a layering like base tank. And I do find in my own wardrobe that those are the things I wear the most because then you're actually replacing something that you're going to buy, and something that you're going to buy probably from a fast fashion brand or from a big box store because it's a basic piece. And aren't, most people are not financially in a place to buy like super conscious ethical basics for every item in their wardrobe. If you are, that is amazing, awesome, and I'm happy for you. I personally feel like I'm doing a much bigger benefit for the planet when I make something like that for myself versus anything that I would buy, you know?
Yeah, like buying a $70 camisole. Is it on the list?
Right. I mean, not unless you really know. I would spend that if I was sure I'm going to have this for 10 years, right?
Right.
Um, but most of the time, when you look at what's available in ready to wear, even if you spend more, you're not necessarily getting something that will last longer. And a handmade tank, I mean, I wear some of my handmade warm weather garments super hard and put them through the washer and the dryer, and they stay looking so clean and neat and new. So, yeah, I'm a huge, everyone knows I'm a huge warm weather knits kind of gal.
Yeah. And I love layering and I'm a very casual dresser most of the time. And so for me, being able to have something I can throw on just with like my leggings and my sweatpants is
Mhm.
that's the apex of wearability for me. So, okay, I feel like we made some decisions here. That's exciting. How do we feel
Yeah.
about this rainbow color though?
I have never seen you use anything like that in any of your designs. I would be shocked.
Who
I
is
would be
she?
shocked. So I feel like I like it. um, I probably wouldn't choose that for a sample, but I might make myself a personal wardrobe item and something like that. I do like speckles and variegation, but I would guess that you're going to choose a lovely tonal or a speckle.
Maybe I have enough of this.
Well, go for it. See how
I
you
also
like
have it
it.
in charcoal. But how do we feel about the look?
It looks a little too busy for me
Yeah.
personally in the swatch. It's hard to know what that would translate to in a garment, but I think it would be that yarn looks harder to predict.
Yep.
Hmm.
All
But you
right.
could read my blog on working with hand painted yarn. You could go for it.
Oh, I mean, I feel like once I alternate skeins, right? Because it's definitely not that it's just gonna read as like purple blue.
That's true. I mean, listen, you'll only know if you do it.
That's true. And
That's
it's a
the thing
tank,
about
so I
hand
might knit
painted.
too. But I feel like I might need a warmer earth tone for the collection.
Well, that like bluish. Our collection is mostly warm tones. However, um, I feel like that bluish pink goes well enough.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Yeah, indeed. Now you'll all know if you see the collection and you're like, that's a choice. You can come back to this episode.
I just really like I have 3 scans each of this color and the black because I was thinking I would do a classic LBD with intarsia. And then I was like, actually, this is a separate sweater and it's going to be study group. So if you go back in time to like last February, you probably know the episode number when we were talking about using variegated yarns. This was one of the yarns that I talked about. And
I think that's our first episode,
maybe.
choosing a
Yeah.
yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it might have been like color. Anyway.
Working with
Um,
color. There
I
might
think it was
be,
working with color.
I think that's 5. I don't
So I
know.
bought 3 skeins of each, and like I have this yarn, and I don't love like having stash that I don't knit, right? And so
Hmm.
if I use this yarn and I go to the dyer and I'm like, hey, um, I can I get yarn in a colorway that matches the collection? Like, what are the odds that I'm going to go back and use that yarn for something else? Like, I'm probably not going to because I don't have time. So
I
I'm
know. I
inclined
mean,
to
you can knit a
use.
personal one,
I know, but
but then you don't.
time.
Yeah, I
Sometimes I
know.
do. I could see knitting 2 of these.
I mean, I have yarn for a personal Tory,
Yeah.
um, but I haven't knit it, and I've kind of just stolen my sample to become my personal Tory.
And we've
Uh,
talked about this before, but our testers probably knit more than we do because half of our time is spent making the pattern, right? And
mhm.
so, if I'm going to have 10 or 12 sweaters per year that I'm doing for work, how much time is there really left for extras?
Right. Not a lot. It's hard.
Not a lot.
Um, I hear you. I mean, since you have it, I would start it with that, and you will know fairly quickly if you do not like the way it's knitting up.
Yeah.
Especially a tank. It's not going to be you're going to see the pattern that it's making within a few inches, and that'll basically be the pattern that it makes, right? So
I can imagine this. I mean, even if it were like this, I think I would wear it, which is not something I would ever have expected myself to say.
I can see you wearing that specific variegated yarn because
Hmm.
it reminds me of that like play suit outfit you have in the like purple and cyan like animal print.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. That
Yep.
is your wheelhouse when you're being
I would
bold.
wear this with those linen pants and it wouldn't quite match and I wouldn't quite care.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I am boring and I like beige and I like pink. And
Or with this purple wide leg pants I have.
that would look great with those purple wide leg pants.
So
Mm-hmm.
spring. Everyone else is like playing their holiday playlist and putting up their trees. And I'm thinking of the way sand is going to feel um, in March on my feet.
Um, I live in Florida and I do both of those things at the same time.
You do. It's funny because sometimes we hear from Southern Hemisphere people and they're like, you don't think of us. But what they don't know is that we're actually in sync with them, not with the people that we live next to.
Yeah, I
It
do
just
think of
doesn't look
you in
like
the
that from
Southern
the outside.
Hemisphere because I'm knitting with you all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But that's another reason I like to release like a layering tank, why I released Tori with Mary, because there you go. Here's a new tank pattern for you if you're warm.
Yeah. There you go, Australia. There you go, New Zealand. We see you. We love you.
So let me I'm working on my swatch for my tank for
Yeah. I
spring.
took up all the time. Let me see your stuff.
That's okay. I like it when you
It's
talk.
so pretty.
I'm so happy with it. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Maybe not. No, I have to learn how to be that kind of podcaster still. So this is a silk linen blend in the dark. And I'm working with ribbing, and this is like a really fun little dot pattern. This is, it has just been lovely to knit with. And this is going to be a tank that everybody is always commenting on that pink rib tank that I made myself when I was like a little baby designer. It doesn't fit me at all. The armpits are like around my navel, but I do wear it all the time. And every time I wear it around a bunch of knitters, people ask me if the pattern's available. So this is going to be an actually well-fitted version of that tank, and I'm so excited to offer it. And that original one was in 1x1 ribbing all the way around, but I feel like we're going to enjoy knitting this dot pattern a lot more because it's just a lot more knits and a lot less alternating knit purl.
It's so pretty
So
and so delicate.
I'm psyched. It's going to be a great layering addition to your wardrobe, but also it will have it'll be tunic length. So I'm imagining it by itself with leggings or bike shorts, but also underneath other, lacy tees or crops or whatever you have. Um, and I am designing it specifically to be able to layer with my other spring design, which I posted just the back. I have no pictures of her yet, and the ends are not woven, but this is my tee that's in edit. So it's got a very lacy back panel and then a little bit of lace in the front. Um, so this tank will kind of just stick out a few inches underneath the bottom, and you'll be able to see it through all of the lace panels. And I'm like so thrilled at the way that these two colors are matching because they are not from the same dyer. But there are pinks in this gold tank that are like the exact pink. So it's all coming together.
Yeah. It's going to be really pretty.
Thank you. By the time this episode is out, I bet that there will be the you know what I'm going to do? Okay. That pink tee is in tech right now. I will not send out the first UX knit call until after this episode airs to the One Wild newsletter list. This is the first UX call that's going out to our One Wild newsletter. If you don't know, we call our test knits UX knits because we want to emphasize that we're really looking for your experience working with the pattern more than like for you to be an editor, since we hire those. So if you want to join in on that UX or any of them for this spring collection, make sure you're on the One Wild newsletter. That's at onewilddesigns.com. You can find the sign up form there. And I'll send out the first newsletter call the end of the week next week. So around December 1st or whatever that date is.
That might be a double.
Oh, great. Well, maybe we'll send out both together.
Yeah, Among Petals won't go into UXNet until the end of December, but Sylvia from Camellia Fiber Co. is going to do a really generous 20% off discount. And it needs to be pre-orders because it's the holiday season. So in order for people to have time to order from her, I have to get the list. We have to build a team. So
yeah, I'm doing the same.
It's going to be a big letter.
My tea is from La Bien Amie, the yarn that I worked with, and they are also doing a UX knitter discount. I don't have those details in front of me. I have them in an email somewhere. But yeah, I imagine that tea is going to be going into UX like mid-December. But yeah, let's just start building that list together. So if you all want those spring UX details, make sure you're on the newsletter. Yeah.
If you have like a tail end of the skein from that, will you send it to me?
Of the LBA?
Yeah, so I can see if it's a good sub for her.
I don't think it is, but yes, I will.
It might be.
I think it's thinner. I don't think it would knit solid well,
yours says it's a sport, but it feels like a fingering, and mine says it's a fingering that feels like it's a sport. So
okay, what gauge is that knit at? Do you know?
Not yet. I haven't blacked it.
Okay. Mine is
Yours
26.
Is
Mine's 26. That's more than 26? I'll still send it to you.
Yeah, just send it to me. I want it.
Yeah.
Please.
Right. Fewer. Bigger. It's bigger than 26. Listen, before we sign off, the UX knits are not live yet, but our winter workshop schedule is live and people are signing up, and those classes all have limited space so that they will be the best for y'all. So we put together a collection of 6 different offerings. Most of these workshops are offered at more than one date so that you can figure out what works for you and join us. You can come to one workshop, you can come to multiple, you can do all of them and really have an intensive this winter. But please scroll on over to the One Wild website. We're going to link all of these linkies down below, but check out what we're doing. Everything's on Zoom, so we'd love to see you there.
I feel a little guilty because I normally do classes in the winter and in the fall, and I didn't do any this fall. And people have been like, "Where are classes? Where are classes?" So they're there now. They're there now.
Yeah, it was a busy fall. We did the publication, so next fall we'll do a publication and classes.
Well, I don't know about that.
I'm not making. That's not a promise. I just like to scare Jen.
Yes, scare, very scare.
So scary.
But I'm excited. These are classes that we've put together based on the things that come up again and again, and they're really your chance to get some time in a setting where you can ask involved questions, where, you know, some of these are more technical, right? So we have like adding bust darts and getting a better fit from your sweater pattern. And you can bring a pattern to class and kind of work through it live so that you know that you have the tools that you need to go through and implement these things in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
It's one thing to watch a podcast or read a blog. It's another thing to be in a classroom where you can really like dig in. Yeah. I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. I like teaching.
You'll get demonstrations where applicable, and you will have a chance to ask questions. And we do offer one-on-ones, both of us, which you can find information on the website about that too, if you really have something specific. But we asked you what kind of classes you wanted to see. And little did you know, we had already planned you basically all asked for exactly what we were planning already. So it's perfect. It was perfect. Join
Yeah.
us. You can tell what kind of mood I'm in based on these side comments that I make in the podcast. I feel like the last 2 times we recorded, I was just like, we're here. It's fine.
We're a little
And
more 3D
today,
this
everything's
week.
perfect.
Okay, and in December, we are going to do a members live. So if you are a member on YouTube, you will be getting some information on that in the channel, um, in the community, the place where the posts go. God, I'm so bad at YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And that members channel will be, or that members live is going to be about planning your 2024 makes. If you're the make 9 type, we'll be kind of using that as a loose framework.
Mm-hmm.
Just bringing the best of the hobby to your planning process. So we're excited to do that with you guys.
Yeah. So we actually host those on Zoom so that you can talk to us and tell us,
Yeah.
so that it's not just us talking to you. And so we're really hoping that you'll get a lot out of that. If you're not a member, you've got time to join before that'll happen. So feel
Yeah.
free. I believe all levels of membership have access to the member lives.
Is that true?
I think it's true.
I think it is true.
Yeah.
It should be true.
It should be true for sure.
There's still so much to sort through, isn't there?
Oh my goodness, always, always. But we're doing it. We're sorting through. So we've mentioned the One Wild newsletter. That's where all of our communications are going. So if you're not seeing those, make sure to get on the newsletter. If you were on either of our individual lists, you should have already transferred over. But if you're feeling worried, I will double check you if you reach out to me.
Hope everybody has a really great end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk
Yeah.
to you soon. Yeah, happy knitting.
Happy knitting, everybody.